Was it music? Was it poetry?
Poetry.
That was poetry? Good. You sure? I'll have to switch him in the genre. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to this guy. He's one of our beloved irregulars. Give it up for Shawn Barron. Feel free to use the drink stand that we have.
Good evening, everyone. So, I had some traditional Indian food last night, and I must say, killing a buffalo is a lot harder than it looks in the movies. So I like to study history, and one of the words that I like to look up is, I looked up Caucasian and found out the actual roots of it. Now, Caucasian refers to the Caucasus, which is a mountain range in Asia predominantly inhabited by Muslims. And I'm like, damn, is there anything the white man didn't steal? I'm 30, but I really like to tell people I'm 29. Not because I'm afraid of aging, but I'm fascinated by prime numbers. So I'm not sure if any of you follow religion that much, but right now, around the world, hundreds of millions of Muslims are celebrating this month the festival of Ramadan, as opposed to next month, when hundreds of millions of perverts around the world will be celebrating the festival of Ramadan. I had lunch with my uncle earlier this week, and I'm not sure how successful my uncle is, but when I called him to ask about lunch, he had to ask somebody if he was free. Now, what always gets to me is that whenever you have a very successful businessman, the cliche is, of course, they have a trophy wife. But I wonder, if you're a moderately successful businessman, can you get a trophy wife for participation? Also, if you sell your body, come the end of the year, can you use it as a tax write-off? So I like to look up a lot of things. One of the things I like to study is language, and I also got to live in Europe. I got to live in Spain for a little bit, and one of the things that's interesting is that Spanish is very different than not very different, but has a lot of words that are different than the Spanish they speak in the Americas. I'll give you a couple of examples. In Spain, if I was to say the phrase, por favor, coger el libro, I would be saying, please pick up the book. However, if I was to say that to a Mexican or an Argentinian, I would say, could you please fuck the book? I had a friend who actually worked in a bookstore in Spain, and whenever he would hear someone with an Argentinian accent, he just liked to mess with them a lot. Hey, Shawn, could you coger the libro? I need you to coger that box as well. It's really good for the upper body when you make sure to coger things. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough, though. I have to leave early so I can go coger my girlfriend at the train station. The other thing, though, is it can actually reverse. For example, the Spanish word for bullfight in the Americas is corrida. However, in Spain, you have to say corrida del toros. The reason, because if you just say corrida in Spain, you said ejaculate. And it's just like, so what were you doing yesterday, Shawn? Oh, it was really great. I went with this nice girl to the corrida. Hey, man, I like to go to a nice girl to the corrida too, but I don't need to talk about it while we're having lunch. So I like to drink a little bit. Some people can handle the drink. Unfortunately, I had an uncle who had a really severe problem with alcohol abuse. He used to like to burn down liquor stores. However, he managed to avoid jail time because he knew an attorney who was Machiavellian in all his planning. This attorney wasn't particularly cunning or devious, but he did write all of his plans out in Italian. Yeah. My mind likes to wander, but I think it's just because he's bad reading directions. So I was talking to Chris Sicko over here earlier, and he was telling me that he was born in August. And he's like, Shawn, do you know what that means, that I was born in August? I'm like, your parents like to fuck in November? So I So I think it's important to find activities to amuse yourself, because if you keep doing the same things, you're just going to get bored. So I like to invent new activities. One of the first ones I invented was called thread betting. You see, what you do is you go onto any social media site that you're a member, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you post an article about either Israel or Palestine, and then you start placing bets till how long before the comment thread gets racist. I'm a little of a crazy guy, so I'll go to 4. Some of my friends, they like to save money, so they stop at 2. I guess probably the other thing that I've invented recently is a game that I like to call Too Late. You see, whenever I see a pregnant woman now, I run up to them holding a box of condoms, and when I get there, I go, "Too late!" So there's things that people are often debating, how do you know if you live in a country that's really well off or a country that's pretty poor? And I was thinking, one of the ways is how you hear the following phrase. The phrase, "Hey, you've lost some weight." Now, if you hear that positively, "Hey, you've lost some weight, looks like you must be hitting the gym a lot," then you probably live in a pretty decent country. As opposed to, "You've lost some weight. Hopefully the anti-malaria drugs will begin to kick in soon." I mean, think of how lucky we are that we live in an era where you can actually say the phrase, "You've lost some weight," and nothing bad follows it. I mean, through most of human history, it was like, "You've lost some weight. I suggest you make your peace with God soon." But yeah, I like to study, I like to learn the language. I like to also, like I said, study other languages. One of the ones that I really find very interesting to study is the German language. Because German has a lot of words that just aren't in English that would make life so much easier. For the example, the Germans have one word, "Wäsch nehmen besser," "Wäsch nehmen besser." And this means all the times that you attempt to make something better but make everything worse. They have one word. Think of how nice, compare it's like "Wäsch nehmen besser." In English, we just be like, "Hey, he's a fuck up." It's like German, it's like, "Oh no, I would like to invite Klaus over today, but he's a bit of a "Wäsch nehmen besser," you understand? It just sounds so much nicer. But the Germans also have lots of phrases, that are really different. One of my favorite ones is that the way they can say kind of like, "Lucky you," is "Schwein gehabt," "Schwein gehabt," which means literally, "You had a pig." It's like, you got the promotion, you had a pig. It's got to be really tough, though, if you have a Muslim friend you want to congratulate. It's like, "Ahmad, your wife just had a child. Looks like you had a pig." I've never had a pig in my entire life, and I resent the implication. But there's lots of phrases. Probably one of the ones that's really good is, another one from Spanish that they like to say is, for children, that we say in English, "It takes a village to raise a child." Like the next generation is a common investment that we all care about and we should all be committed to. In Spain, they say, "Cría cuervos y te sacarán los ojos," which translates literally to, "Raise ravens and they will rip out your eyes." Which is really weird because Spain isn't that violent, but I don't know, must be the weather. Well, anyway, thank you for your time this evening, folks. My name is Shawn Barron.